security solution that we've been demonstrating here in the solution showcase. This is an example of how we're assisting specific industries, in this case utilities, to invest in advanced technologies that can transform their business while addressing the security, privacy, safety, and risk issues that arise from these innovations. Now, the same pattern shows up in other industries. We can easily, these days, figure out the best way to get from point A to point B. But if you happen to be in Singapore, the Singapore Land Transportation Authority is improving what is already one of the most modern, affordable, and heavily used public transport networks in the world. They're doing this by adding an integrated payment option that can be used for the bus or the train, parking, or even congestion control charges. And in the background, the system studies usage data to help design new schedules and dynamically route traffic so that it will further reduce congestion. Now, again, this is a great system, but it's also clearly operating on very, very sensitive data, collecting detailed information on who is traveling where. Privacy and user control must be built in these solutions from the beginning. And the Transportation Authority had to find a way to control access to this financial data, as well as the sensitive logistical data about the travel habits of individuals and their activities. Now, this connected world we live in has also given us an ability to access the brightest minds of our time literally from anywhere. Great example here is in medical imaging, where a system designer has developed technology that enables medical professionals to view medical images, x-rays, CT scans, MRIs, via wired and mobile devices, including laptops and smartphones, literally from anywhere. Now, this allows doctors who are not physically present to be able to lend their expertise and provide medical assistance and insight, which is really enabling breakthroughs for the medical profession. But the designer of this system had to find ways to ensure compliance with access to personal medical data, test results, and images that are being broadcast over public networks and to common devices. We now have the ability to access the security capabilities themselves from anywhere in the world. Indeed, at this very moment, IBM is remotely monitoring the security status of companies like many of those represented in this room with software provisioned from the cloud from one of our service operations centers around the world. This capability is enabled by our secure web gateway technology, which is software that allows us to continue to blur the lines between businesses, their partners, their service providers through data sharing and hosted cloud-based services. This drives new innovations in the way that we can deliver security, like the Secure Web Gateway Managed Service that we also demonstrated here at RSA. Again, this is all driven by software that's allowing us to drive these innovations. And now, with advanced software and analytic tools, we have the capability to extract value from data to see patterns, correlations, and outliers. We can uncover hidden patterns in data to analyze, predict, and control events. Problems can be recognized and remediated before it is too late. Again, behind every one of these examples is a business, a government, or an industry that's looking at unique, innovative ways to leverage software. Today, more than ever before, these organizations are using software to enable every facet of their business. But, again, we all know that there are many challenges here. Technology has allowed us to move beyond physical locations and branch offices. It allows us to live in virtual worlds across dispersed teams and players and continents. But the more data and information organizations make available to audiences, the greater the risk profile associated with this access. And as a result, is a new set of needs that have emerged. And so what is it that has changed about security risk management in this new, smarter world? Well, human beings are becoming more and more dependent on security in our everyday lives. And security is appropriately now seen as a right of every individual. It's top of mind on our customers, driven by what we call the 3 C's: complexity, cost, and compliance. Now, we're gathered in this room today because a smarter planet is by definition a more complex planet. More connected things driven by more software innovation, and we must ensure that organizations are proactively identifying all the types of risks to business, and that we have security and resiliency plans that are in place to address any kind of threat or disruption. You know, complexity is indeed a security issue. It's a security issue that is here to stay. Why? Because complexity creates shadowy places where people with bad intentions can do a lot of damage. Complexity creates vulnerabilities. We cannot have a smarter planet without understanding the risks associated with all the new capabilities and services that we're going to build and depend on to drive innovation around the world. Now, there's a very simple concept here that I want to communicate as we're dealing with issues like cybersecurity, protecting critical infrastructures, or even dealing with the issues of privacy and identity. In all cases, we've just got to be ahead of the bad guys. We have to design security into the services from the beginning that will deliver and drive a smarter planet. Now, this is the essence of what we're trying to do at IBM. And again, we're doing this with the thought in mind that I mentioned earlier. I want you to remember that with strong business security, we believe will come strong prosperity. Now, to stay ahead of the bad guys, you've got to be able to see what's happening with the infrastructure from a service operations perspective and a security operations perspective. You have to be in control. In a controlled environment, we strive to make sure that everything is in an understood, desired state. All of these connected capabilities that drive the smarter planet. You have to be able to visualize what's happening right now in that desired state, and you have to be able to make sure that you stay within defined control limits and understand the risks that are associated with moving in and out of these control limits. Now, control also requires automation, because we've seen in our work with clients worldwide that vulnerability surfaces from people choosing not to follow repeatable, defined processes. Now, there's a very powerful value proposition that really I'm talking about here, and it resonates with businesses, industries, and governments all across the planet. This value proposition is called service management. At our Pulse conference last week, we deeply examined this notion of integrated service management that really connects all of the silos of infrastructure that are required for service delivery. This idea resonates with our clients because it's a real value proposition with a core premise. The most important things that our clients do with the technology infrastructures they deploy is deliver a service that supports the business process that at the end of the day is important to a business outcome. And that's what's really important about the service from a security perspective. That service is built on a set of physical assets with built-in intelligence. They're storing, processing, or collecting huge amounts of information that are all network connected. It's important to note that these intelligent connected assets really span multiple asset classes. It's not just IT stuff. It can be transportation vehicles, traffic control devices. It can be buildings. And of course, it's the digital assets like design documents or indeed the software applications that supports composite applications. All of these things are now part of the smarter services that we are delivering and will be delivering. Now, a key element of the smarter decade will be the capability to manage all these assets across all of this spectrum with an integrated set of software capabilities, because you have to see what's happening with the entire infrastructure, again, whether it's from a service operations perspective or a security operations perspective. Integrated service management also includes the integration of processes and best practices from different sources, different areas and domains like ITIL, the